So good morning, it's about 7 o'clock, well, nearly half 7 on day 2, and quite a long night. Woke up quite a bit, but to be fair, I was very early to bed, so just a lot of time to spend trying to sleep, really. Let's have a real look at the outside. There are worse views to wake up to, I guess. A bit more cloudy than it was yesterday, but we'll see how the day goes. It's cold, but it is 7 o'clock in the morning, so I would expect it to be a wee bit cold. So today's plan is to pack up everything at a leisurely pace. I'm not really in a hurry. The one thing that's missing is a cup of coffee. Let's try to think. I may have enough water left for a cup of coffee, as long as I don't mind not having any water for the next 4 miles into Drumnadrochit. So if I get moving by just after 8, I'll get to Drum probably 10. Actually, it's downhill, so maybe it'll be a wee bit quicker than 10. The problem I've got then is that I'm only about 10 miles after Drum, and I don't want to get too early to my next stop, because my next stop is a B&B, and I don't want to rock up at a B&B mid-afternoon, because they won't they won't thank me for that. I kind of wish I hadn't booked the B&B. It seemed like a good idea at the time, and it does give me a chance to, have a shower and recharge all the electric stuff, which I'll need to do at some point, because it won't make it all the way through the trip without a recharge. So yeah, I suppose today's as good a time as any, really. It's either that or Fort Augustus the day after. But this one's booked, so kind of need to do it. I guess what I'm saying in a very long-winded way is that I don't have a huge amount of walking to do today. So, although it's 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm not really in a hurry to break camp and get moving. Yeah, let's see what today brings in terms of things to see. Aye. Alright, back later. Well, screw the water situation. It's only 3 miles to Drumnadrochit according to the map, so that's fine. The coffee won. Just breaking camp, waiting for my stove to cool down, and then we're off ski. I'm going to enjoy this coffee though. So this was day 1's campsite. I think this is what they mean by leave no trace. Hello! So, the weather isn't quite so nice today, but it's early yet. I'm kind of hoping it might brighten up a wee bit as the day goes on. So I just thought I'd stop here because there's a nice view, and you get an idea of the size of Loch Ness. So, goes away down into the distance there. So from that side up there, you've got Inverness. It's just a couple of miles past the top of the loch, which is way around the corner and up a bit, all the way down to Fort Augustus at the bottom of the loch. We won't get to Fort Augustus until tomorrow evening, so got a few stops to make along the way. Well, a couple really, Drumnadrochit and Inverness. But yeah, Loch Ness. Now, when I was doing the Worth Highland Way, I said that Loch Lomond was the largest inland waterway in Britain, and it is, in terms of length. But Loch Ness, whilst not being quite so long, if you were to count volume of water, Loch Ness would be number one, because it's very, very deep. Deep enough to hide things, some might say. But in any case, it's carved out by glacial action, so unlike Loch Lomond, there's no islands, because, yeah, no rock. The glacier took it all away. So you get very deep, very... well, it's very navigable as well, because the whole loch's very deep, so there's quite a lot of boat traffic. It goes up and down here to use the Caledonian Canal, and there's no navigation markers because you're not going to hit anything really in Loch Ness unless you hit the tide, or a monster. Speaking of monsters, actually, over on the other side of the loch, just a wee bit further down, roughly where the camera's pointing, I think, is the ex-house, well, the house that used to belong to, actually it's an ex-house, to Aleister Crowley. Now some of you might know who Aleister Crowley was. He was kind of an occultist, and at the time the newspapers called him the evilest man in the world, I think. Which is, to be fair, a plaudit that we usually reserve now for politicians. But at the time, apparently just being a vaguely hack occultist was good enough to make the grade. In any case, his house burnt down in mysterious circumstances some time ago, but because it's Aleister Crowley, anything, frankly, would be labelled mysterious circumstances. Somebody could have left the gas on, it would still be mysterious. But there we go, a wee bit of a wee bit of local knowledge for you. It's brightening up over there, so I'm kind of hoping that maybe we'll get some sunshine today yet. And just a wee jaunt into Drumnadrochit now, and we'll see how we go. And hello again. I just wanted to say a wee bit about the Great Glen, which I'd kind of meant to say when I was playing, when I was talking about Loch Ness. It's not particularly important, but I suppose I'm doing the Great Glen way, so it's probably worth mentioning. I think it's about 400 million years ago that the continents had a bit of a falling out and a rearrangement, and basically I'm walking down a fault line. About 400 million years ago, Scandinavia and England collided with Scotland. We've been trying to get rid of one of those ever since, sorry, just a wee bit of a political humour. And yeah, so what we've essentially got, you can see it quite a lot here, is pretty obvious geology, pointing to the fact that this is a fault, and there'll be a lot more of that as I go down the Glen. So in essence, what we could almost say that this is Canada, and that's the UK, geologically speaking. I have no doubt somebody that's got a more keen interest in geology will probably tell me that's absolute bollocks, but they're more than welcome to do so in the comments. I'm only kind of feeding this off what I read in a information board, more or less. So yeah, it's a fault line. It's still active technically, although there's been no activity in a very, very long time. There is occasional minor tremors, but too small to be noticed. I won't say I didn't think about that last night when I was basically camped on top of a cliff. That would have been a bad time for geological action. Well, an interesting time for me. But yeah, so it's quite interesting to think that I am walking along what used to be a major fault line, and still technically is. Don't imagine we'll see much in the way of earthquake action though. Anyway, later. And finally, about, I don't know, 18 miles from the start, there is a water source that I'm actually comfortable taking water from. And apparently there's just more and more as I go down heading south. So that's good, because that was a bit of a concern, really. I don't like being rationed for water. But anyways, here we are. Just a wee bit down from the old logging camp. Actually kind of looks like they're still at it, you know. Somebody is anyway. But yeah, feel better about that. Still not Drumnadrochit, just taking my time and stopping to talk. I'll probably end up with an absolute screed of video for day 2 that I'll not bother using most of. We'll see what happens. But yes, water. Good.
Oh, I can wash my coffee cup as well, even better. So, these woods, pretty much all the woods actually that are forests that I've been going through, they're just lovely. Very quiet, not many people around, and you do see trail markers like that one, which just point me down towards what's obviously going to take me to a road. I know it is because it's road walking for the last little bit into Drumnadrochit. But there's these other paths that just wend off into the forest, and I think, oh, it'd be nice to go down there. So I think at some point I might have to come back here and just try and explore some more of these bits that are up the trail. I have a suspicion that I might not feel this way in 3 days when I'm just kind of desperate to get to the end, but at the moment, on day 2, it's just really rather lovely, and it would be nice to be able to spend more time just pottering about. But anyway, let's go and see if I can get some breakfast or something.
We are with you.
So hello again. What you're seeing over there is Urquhart Castle, which at this distance doesn't look like much, but it's actually quite a large structure, and a very often visited one as well. I was nearly visiting a good few years ago. Stopped in the car park and looked at the prices to get in and said no, because I could kind of see the castle from where I was, and I couldn't see why I would pay however many pounds it was to go and walk around the ruins. I was a slightly different person back then. I would quite like to go and walk around the ruins, but it's not going to happen today because it's a 2-mile walk from Drumnadrochit off the trail, which isn't a big deal, but it's along a very, very busy road, and I really don't fancy that very much. So short of getting a taxi from Drumnadrochit to the castle, my options would be limited. But if you're in the area, it comes highly recommended from many people who have been there. Very picturesque Scottish castle. Still not in Drumnadrochit, we'll get there very shortly. So we have the Loch Ness Centre and Exhibition, where you can presumably learn a wee bit about Loch Ness and its history and stuff like that, and also I would imagine the monster. And then 300 yards up the road we've got Messy Land. Should be able to just about see the sign for it there. They're not even pretending, you know, they're just like, come here and we'll tell you some monster bullshit. I wonder which is busier. Anyway, I think I shall probably forgo either. Hi, so this is Drumnadrochit, the village green. Quite a nice wee place, but next to a busy road, so there will be a lot of traffic noise here. Next time I do one of these walks, this won't be so much of an issue. I have plans to address the directional microphone issue and also the shaky camera thing. More on that when it transpires. So Drumnadrochit's a very touristy wee place, right? Lots of cafes and bistros which charge the earth. I would recommend, if you're here, go to the village store and tea room and get a takeaway roll and a cup of coffee. It's a bit of a win. Frankly, saves a bit of cash and they're very friendly and nice, so all good. And the traffic's quieting down. So I said yesterday that I thought this was one of the holy trinity of Scottish place names, Drumnadrochit, along with Urquhart and Ecclefechan. So yeah, If anybody can think of anything to add to that list, please put it in the comments. I kind of thought of a couple. Drumnadrochit was one. The others escape me, but you will have some ideas of your own, I'm sure, so put them down in the comments. Cheers. I'll have my lunch now, or breakfast, or whatever, and then head off out of Drumnadrochit again. See you later. So, old style pine forest, by which I mean back in the bad old days when the only objective was to get as much lumber as you could, and you planted the trees so close together that absolutely nothing else could grow. It's not very pretty, it's quite dark in here, but it smells lovely, in a toilet cleaner sort of way. So this is one of these days really that you need to have a wee chat to yourself, because this is very dull, and I'm telling myself there's nothing to see. This trail's crap, but it's not, you know what I mean. It's nice to be out, it's not raining, there's hardly anybody about, occasional car passing. Sometimes you do get a bit of a view. Maybe that'll get better as I go, I don't know. So sometimes, you know, you're in a shitty mood, and you just have to say to yourself, well, you know, if you can't see anything, then you're not looking hard enough. So, as I usually do, I found a couple of trees to take photos of. I seem to take an inordinately large amount of photos of trees. They're interesting trees, to me, anyway. So, that's it. I did see some deer, but they were at quite a long distance, and they were gone before I could hope to get any footage of them, so oh dear. But aye, so I'm just giving myself a bit of a mental kick up the arse, and keep on going. Should be back towards Loch Ness soon. It's it's a bit of a weird thing. This is a Great Glen way, but most of the bit that I've walked hasn't actually been in the Great Glen. I camped last night by Loch Ness, above Loch Ness, so that's Great Glen, but I'd only just really got to Loch Ness at that point, and I was only really walking along there for about 3 miles until, well, 4 until Drum, and then away again. So I don't know where Loch Ness is. It's over there somewhere. Should be heading back towards it soon enough, but for the Great Glen way, it's not actually in the Great Glen. Well, it will be for the last 2 or 3 days, but aye, find the positives, Kenny, find the positives. They are there, so let's see what else we can find. So, 5 miles left to do. Plenty of time to do it in. Might be about 5:30 by the time I get there, but that's cool. I think I know what the issue's been today, really. The pack's a lot heavier than normal because I loaded up with some extra food and stuff in Drum. So that means my feet have been hurting, and there's been nothing at all to counterbalance it. It's just been really dull ever since leaving Drumnadrochit, so I think that's why the mood's taken a bit of a dip. But off the road now, open country, and well, there's the loch, obviously heading towards these woods over there, and I think it's going to be mostly in the woods until I get where I'm going, so that's alright. Just stop back there for fill up the water, so the pack's even heavier, and have something to eat. So yeah, better, definitely better. Yeah, so just gotta keep on. It's been technically it should have been a short day today, but it's felt like a long one. That road, ugh. Horrors. I think that big brown mound is a wood ant nest, a very big wood ant nest. So that's probably something that you wouldn't want to mess with unless you're a big fan of pain. Anyway, interesting to see one so big. So it's about 6 o'clock and I have arrived at my bed and breakfast for the evening. Well, I'm living it up. Booked this because somebody else recommended it. Little did I know that it meant there was a branch in the trail about 2.5 miles back. One of those branches takes you along the high road and the other one the low road, obviously. In order to get to the bed and breakfast I had to go down the low road, which means that if I want to do the high road I need to go back up 2.5 miles tomorrow morning and then do the high road, and it was quite a long way down, so I don't think that's going to happen. The only thing I really wanted to see on that part of the high trail was a sculpture called the View Catcher, but the weather forecast for tomorrow is not good, so I suspect that there wouldn't really be much of a view anyway. So I think I'll just continue along the low road tomorrow to Inverness and then take the high road after that and hopefully get some decent views, because today has not been a day for views. Today has been by far and away the most boring day's walk I've ever had. Truth be told, Loch Ness is supposed to be involved, but I've barely seen it. I am at this point sitting here the closest to Loch Ness that I've been for the entire trip. So there we go. It's actually just the other side of the road. So my view sitting outside my room with a cigarette, which is lovely. I didn't realise it was going to be a separate little exterior door to my own room. Yeah, it's a nice view, no midges, which is nice. Ate some stuff along the way, so this is a bed and breakfast. There's no shops or restaurants anywhere nearby, so yeah, you kind of eat before you get here. Usually in Inverness, which is about 4 miles the other way. But it's a really nice bed and breakfast, really nice room. Wi-Fi's crap, but otherwise can't fault it. Really boring day today. Genuinely, it's been a motivational nightmare. But I am doing this the wrong way around. It may have been better going the other way. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I think the next 3 days should be a little bit better. Tomorrow, take the high path, should get some decent views. And then after that, it's mostly along the 2 other lochs. And then along the canal. So, yeah, it's going to get more interesting, I think. Or at least more scenic from now on, which is good because, oh god, today had to put the music on and only do that if I'm in pain, and I'm not really in pain. Ended up in Springsteen, the only one after that. The absolute method of last resort is Guns N' Roses. Didn't quite get to Guns N' Roses level, but it was close. Anyway, today's going to be a lot of piece to camera stuff and very little scenery because there wasn't any. See what tomorrow brings.